All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Office 365 Pulse. We have a very, very quick update today. To be honest, we're, I think, 24 days away from Ignite. So we are going to have updates just trickling in between now and Ignite because everyone is getting ready for their moments in Orlando. So we're going to go through the in development. It's fun. If you see things with releases in November, just expect a moment probably at Ignite that's coming. But we'll kind of go through the list here. And as always, we'll get everything posted to the channel. So the first thing that I'm going to talk through is something for teams that is coming, and that's presenters and attendee roles for meetings. That's where we can go in and say, I'm a presenter, and Tom is a presenter, but Adam, he's just a lowly attendee. So Tom and I, we can do what we need to do. We can have full control over the meeting. We can mute everyone that comes in so I don't have to hear people's dogs and cats and lawnmowers and all of those pieces, but Adam cannot do that. I can share my screen. Tom can share my screen. When my internet goes down, Tom can take over the meeting because he's a fellow presenter, but Adam cannot just all of a sudden start sharing his comic books or different things there. So that is coming inside of Teams. That's a good thing coming. Also, some direct routing enhancements. Again, I think this is just bringing us to the world of Skype. Skype was a system that everyone used. Full integration, phone systems, many people used all of this. We have to get full parity. So this is what's coming there. So all of these direct routing enhancements are now coming into Teams. It's in development. They're looking at it coming out in November. So those are our two Teams updates. And so I think I'm going to pass it over to Tom, who has some SharePoint updates for us.
I think Adam's roles in the meeting sounded like a whole lot more fun than mine because I'd have to work. So on the SharePoint side, a couple things coming up, and one of them, which sounds like it will definitely be a Microsoft moment at Ignite, form customization in SharePoint lists and libraries.
Jennifer may love this one.
This sounds very intriguing. It's written up as this feature allows users in lists and libraries to customize the order and visibility of fields on forms. So that's like your default form that you see when you open up an item that's not been customized in Power Apps or InfoPath. Users can click Show Hide Fields in the property form or the details pane to perform this customization. I'm thinking this is really cool, where if I need to see something, I can customize it on the fly and somebody else can do the same thing. Yeah, this could be really, really nice for people being able to put together a form that actually works the way that they want it to without having to go through and do anything.
Yeah. Tom, where did you have to go in previous versions of SharePoint? So maybe 2013. Where would you go if you wanted to customize a form?
InfoPath!
And where would you go now if you wanted to customize a form?
InfoPath! No, that's wrong.
You'd have to go to Power Apps. So this might be, and Power Apps is kind of, sometimes like taking, a hammer when you might need, I don't know, a fork. I don't know. That's not the right thing. I'm not using my right tools. Like a sledgehammer when you need a hammer or something like that.
Yeah,
so
you need to tap in a nail in the wall and you get your sledgehammer and blow a hole.
Yeah, our light customization. So I'm excited to see where that one's coming. So again, I'm thinking we're going to have a moment at the SharePoint, or not the SharePoint conference, at Ignite. So, again, I should have had my button so we could be like, dun, dun, dun. All right. So Adam, how about you? What do you see in development?
Wait,
there's more. There's more.
Oh, there's more. If you order now, we'll throw into little Ginzu knives. They'll cut, they'll slice, they'll dice, they'll do everything. There's some updates to the. I was like, why do I work with this guy? File hover cards have got some additional functionality coming out, which I think is going to be really nice. And that is, if you go over somebody's name that you see in, OneDrive or SharePoint or something like that, in a file, it's going to show you a hover card, which basically allows you now to see the person's name, any of the things that potentially they're part of. It's almost like, and who knows, maybe this is where they're getting it from. It's almost like a LinkedIn type thing, or if you hover over somebody's name, you see, who they are and where they work for and what kind of emails you've had with them. And here's some other emails that you might need to know about. They're really starting to pack more and more of that functionality into file hover cards, that you can actually see who has been out there, not just this has been viewed 5 times. You can see that Sue and Amy and Tony have all seen it. And when you hover over their name, you get additional information about them as it relates to the file. So I think that'll be really cool. I'm liking where they're going with that whole hover card experience.
I thought this might be a project manager's dream, right? Like you share out a thing, like, please everyone go through and look at this, and you'll be able to specifically see who's viewed your files. So if you're a project manager and you send it out to several people, like, please review it, you can go in and be like, why the hell hasn't Tom looked at this? And then, go yell at Tom. So I thought for project managers, this is like their favorite feature ever, probably.
I can see that being the case.
The final thing on in development that we had really is not that big of one, but it's kind of interesting to see. You're going to start seeing basically a name change in Outlook on the web. When you go through and you look at your task, right now they're under the heading of My Day. So you go through and look at what you need to do for the day. It's My Day. They're actually changing it to Do. And if you've been following Microsoft, To Do is a meaningful phrase. There's an app called Microsoft To Do, which does a lot of this stuff. Well, that's actually what's powered this section for a while. They're basically just renaming it and rebranding it to give some recognition with To Do, and realistically to just get better synergy with the app that's already going through and doing it. So if you know the back end workings of what's going on, or a fan of Microsoft To Do, all they're really doing is surfacing that that's what's actually powering it for the day-to-day users of 365 and of Outlook on the web. So not a big change, basically just branding, but kind of shows you the direction they're going and how they're trying to bring Microsoft To Do a little bit more into the limelight, which I think we're all fans of To Do. It's a pretty cool app, so nice to see, I guess.
Yep, totally. All right, so rolling out, honestly, not that much. And there's not going to be much in the rolling out because, before a major conference, environment's going to get locked. So we have got, I'm going to just go through them, profile cards. So they're doing a lot with profile cards right now. I think profile cards are a place to watch. But when you think about that and you think about the connected workplace and how we all work together and all of the data and the AI that they're doing there, I think that's just going to be a thing to watch over the next year. Don't get too attached to those profile cards. They're going to be changing. They're going to be meaningful. People are going to just have to be flexible with those. So they're rolling out some updates to the profile cards, and it's okay to tell your users that's why. I mean, incorporate that now into your training and teach people to be flexible with it. As well as Microsoft Teams, some of their location-based routing is rolling out. So those things are coming out there. Nothing too crazy in the rolling out. And then when we get into launched, again, nothing too super crazy there. Some things that we've already been talking about. The one that I was going to talk about, and then I'll toss it over to the guys, is Power Apps and Flow is available in the GCC tenant. So congrats, guys, GCC and GCC High. You have Power Apps and Flow, which is
awesome.
Have
a sledgehammer, yay!
Woo-hoo, let's go build some flows. So I'm excited about that. So that's a good change. That's made it out there for you guys. And then I'll let guys cover anything if they want in launched. Again, nothing super like knock my socks off this time, but if you guys have anything, go ahead and knock our audience's socks off.
Tom?
Yeah, that's right. Blame me for this because the manager already blamed me for not reading their document here. And I had to work while Adam's sitting there wanting to show comic
I've had a good
pictures.
Friday, guys.
Apparently. If you use Outlook on mobile devices, there are changes in the edit meeting series. So for recurring events, you can update the meeting date and or time for any event in a series at once. So apparently you couldn't do that before. You're going to be able to now.
Which is good.
Which is good. Yeah. There's also a couple things. Microsoft Authentication Library for iOS and Android. So if you're into building your own apps with a bunch of acronyms for msal.ios and msal, yeah, I don't do that, don't know, but you now have a library that's rolled out and you can use these things for authentication. Go ahead. Make up something, Adam. It's your turn.
Sure. So I actually have one thing that I'm fairly excited about that Microsoft actually announced in a blog post yesterday. So it's not something that you're going to see on our list of, the new features that are coming out in the roadmap. And as far as I know, it's never actually been included in the roadmap. But for Azure Active Directory, so for people that are interested in roles and how that works with identity inside of 365, they actually yesterday announced that 16 new roles have been added into Azure Directory, and those 16 roles are now currently in preview. Probably the most noteworthy one is a role called Global Reader. This is one that I've actually thought was really, really cool. Specifically, I'm a partner. I work with a ton of customers. We have access to their accounts. I could see this being a wonderful role for us to take on. What Global Reader basically does is gives you all the visibility that a global admin would have. So you can go in and you can see all the settings, you can see everything that's there. You're not permission blocked on anything, but you actually don't have the ability to make changes. So for someone like me who's a advisory consultant who typically is working with customers to help tell them what I think they should be doing, the direction they should be going, oftentimes I'm not the one pushing the buttons, and to be honest, I don't want the responsibility of pushing the buttons for many of them. So having a role like Global Reader where basically I'm going to be able to see everything, but then I can advise them on what they need to be doing is really, really cool. I also kind of, funnily enough, kind of in my head view this as like the manager role. Like, you have that one older guy who's the manager, like the director of IT that hasn't been hands on keyboard for forever. Well, maybe you don't want him having global admin because he could theoretically go in and screw something up. But with this role now, they get access to everything, they can see everything, but the actual hands on keyboard work, the people making the changes can be the people who are more in tune with it. So excited to see this coming out. I actually see this having a lot of uses in my own personal life and my own professional life, really, I should say. But directly, I can see myself using this a lot and think it's pretty cool. So again, this is in preview. We'll go ahead and give the caveat: anything in preview, take with a grain of salt. There's no SLAs around it or stuff like that. But excited to see this go out. I think it's potentially really, really cool and has some far-reaching impacts for at least people like me and some organizations that want to give that level of access but don't want to have all those global admins that can go in and actually make changes.
It's kind of interesting. I shared that with one of our security people, and they would, in a perfect world, like to have 5 or fewer global admins in our environment, but you just can't quite do that depending on how you have things split up. When I showed him this, he goes, "Oh my God, we might actually be able to get to 5 global admins." Yeah. And he's got a point. We probably could, because most of us, we want to be able to see what's going on, but we don't necessarily want to be the one to say, and poof, oops. So I think that'll end up being really good, like you say, to a lot of different environments for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, definitely a cool feature for them to watch.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We will be back next week with more updates, and we'll get this posted soon with a link to a file so you can view the updates. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Have a good weekend. Go Texas.